Hello, listeners. I'm Timstradamus, and this is Feel Good Fridays.
Surprise.
This is a segment we've been wanting to do for a little bit now. We just haven't had the time, or voice hasn't felt good enough to do these type of things, and we're not sure if this is going to stick around. It's just something that we've been mulling over for a while.
We would just like to put more positivity in the world, so we're hoping to find a little bit of more wholesome stories, which is why it's Feel Good Fridays.
I'm ready for it. And joining me as always is my talented and beautiful co-hostess, Voice.
Good morning, Timstradamus, and welcome to all of our listeners. I really can't wait to start this one. Mind you, these will be shorter segments, but hopefully you'll enjoy these wholesome stories that I find.
I think what we're trying to accomplish is just to start you off on your weekend on the right foot.
I love that. Well, to also make Feel Good Friday be a little more special, of course, on our Mondays, we have our tea. On our Wednesdays, we have our Hydration Wednesdays. But for Fridays, we're going to have Random Fun Fridays. So every week, we will go ahead and find a new drink or maybe a interesting drink for you to go ahead and try out. And then you can tell us what you think of it.
I'm excited. I normally don't drink sugary things like soda. Now, if I do, my favorite thing to drink all time is Sprite.
Sprite.
It's very rare that I drink any type of sodas, though. Normally, we stay in more like the teas and water and, things of that nature.
Some juices,
but
yeah, like guava or apple.
A lot of the time, I stay away from the sugary stuff, just health. But I get to indulge in this stuff on Friday.
You do. All right. So the drink that I picked for you is a Fanta drink, and it's their Beetlejuice Haunted Apple drink.
I can smell it from the table, and as I bring it closer, it smells enchanting.
Ooh. I would just like to point out there in the label, it says that there's no juice.
I'm a born-again Christian. That thing hit my jaw. Ouch. That's really good. If you want apple, and I don't know what I'm tasting at the end, like a caramel, like a smoked caramel.
Ooh.
Aftertaste? I don't know. It's very different. It's not Sprite, but I'll have a second.
I've got the other half in the fridge for me waiting.
That'll wake you up.
Is it perfect? Does it remind you of Halloween or fall?
Oh, 100%. That's Halloween.
Oh, perfect.
And if you guys have any suggestions for drinks that you guys enjoy, let us know.
Yeah, we can see if we can order it.
Maybe we'll try it.
You know me. I will hunt for it. Well, for any listeners wanting to follow along, all story links are in the description below.
Reverse story.
Today, my wife met my girlfriend. I, 32 male, am a widow. My wife passed away from pancreatic cancer 5 years ago. She was forced to leave behind our 2 kids, R, 10 male, and H, 7 male. My wife was the absolute light of my life. We were high school sweethearts, went to the same college, and got married after graduation. We were inseparable. Every day, I fell more in love with her. It was like my heart was living outside my body. When she passed, the amount of pain I was in was indescribable. I prayed to go to sleep and not wake up, just so I could see her one last time. I contemplated meeting her, but every time I was ready, my kids would look at me. They had her face, her personality, her DNA. I couldn't leave them. They were all I had left of her. It took years before I was able to function normally again. I even quit my job and lived off of savings and her life insurance for about a year. I was half the dad I used to be, and only a fraction of my former self. 2 years after her passing, I decided enough was enough. I kicked myself into gear. I found a job in a different city, closer to my parents. I packed my kids up and I moved. Life was hard, but I kept chugging along, and eventually I found some joy. A year after moving, I took a business trip to New York where I met my current girlfriend, Elle. While I acknowledged there was chemistry, I told her I was already married and she understood. However, a few months later, I had to go back to New York where we met up again. I let my guard down for the first time around her. Before I knew it, she was putting in a transfer for my home branch and moving to my city. I fell in love with her and asked her out a year ago next month. My kids adore her, and though she reminded them she will never take their mom's place, they lovingly call her Mama L. Today was the anniversary of my wife's passing, an extremely hard day for all of us. This morning, I walked into the living room to find Elle and my kids waiting for me. The kids were dressed in their church clothes with goofy smiles on their faces and bouquets in hand. Apparently, Elle came up with the idea of a picnic at my wife's grave, an idea that the boys loved as they enjoy going to see their mom. While I was sleeping, they prepared food and flowers, then insisted on wearing their best clothes. I'll admit that I cried at the sight of them. I don't know how I got this lucky twice in a row. I wanted my wife to meet this amazing woman, so I asked Elle to come along and she did. The day that I dread every year turned out to be a humbling reminder of the reason why I stayed on this planet. To my lovely wife, you can never be replaced, but she is good to me and she takes care of our kids like you would. Thank you for sending her to me.
Wholesome. That's a good story.
I think it's a reminder that a lot of people, we unfortunately lose the ones that we love the most, whether it's a parent, whether it's a sibling, whether it's your partner. I don't like when people tell others to move past it. It's not something to move past. You don't move past someone that you love. You love them regardless of whether they're here or not. But when you have the right people around you, they don't expect for you to move on. They understand that that is a part of who they love in you. And it's nice that he's got Elle in his life who understands that she's not a competition to his former wife. She's an addition to what makes his life amazing.
Good story to kick off the Feel Good Fridays with. Started off sad, and I was like, wait a second. We're talking about things that make people happy.
I know the title. It tricked you because you're like, oh no, is this a drama?
We're getting back into this stuff.
And then I got into it and I was like, oh no, you're probably going to think this is going to be real sad. And it's got its sad points. All wholesome things do. But there's also an acceptance too.
And that's a huge part of life. So I'm very happy that he was able to get through the toughness of that situation, and that they're able to all embrace what that family looks like.
So that was 2 years ago, this wholesome story. And a month later, he posted an update. So let me go ahead and read that now. Our OP says, "Hi everyone. First off, I want to thank you all for the nice messages and replies. I can't thank you all enough." On to the update. I already had a profound appreciation for my girlfriend before I made that post, but the comments gave me an entirely new perspective. The night after I made that post, I took my girlfriend out to dinner, and I can't explain it, but the light I was viewing her in was different. Everything she did that night gave me butterflies. She was showing me pictures that she took at the aquarium with my oldest, and I couldn't stop staring at her. In that moment, I came to the conclusion that I was going to propose a lot sooner than I expected. A few days later, I went ring shopping with her mom, who was very excited, and we found the perfect ring. I then made a reservation at her favorite restaurant for the last Friday and set the big day in motion. Long story short, I'm getting married again. As some of you said, promotions can wait. Though after looking at her wedding ideas, I may need a promotion to financially recover. I'm excited to start this journey with her and my amazing kids. As I've said before, I am so lucky. I hope you all find your own Layla, and thank you again. So before, our OP was actually posting in the comment section that he was planning on proposing, but he wanted to wait until after promotion. But it looks like he's just letting everything play out the way that he feels it needs to. And honestly, when you see someone in your life do something that is unexpectedly so loving and selfless, I can't imagine that your view of them would be the same.
It's good to sometimes take your hands off the steering wheel, not actually driving. Want to make that very clear. I don't need someone in the comments going, Timstradamus told me it's okay to take my hands off the wheel. But in life, it's a good lesson to learn. Sometimes just letting life take you where it wants to is better than trying to strong arm it into believing where you want it to go. So that's really good. And I'm happy that, he was able to find someone with a heart that isn't like capped. You know, there is no such thing as too much love. It's not finite.
Well, I think I started us with a really good feel-good story.
Yeah.
Let's go on to this next one and see if you think this one still feel good. My dad served my detention. When I was a freshman in high school, I went to a school that was 30 plus minutes drive away. They had a policy that 3 tardies, with a good excuse or not, across a semester would automatically assign an after-school detention. I was a really, really good kid. Never got in trouble ever. Always really nice and friendly to everybody. Worked really hard at everything I did from sports to studies. Even if I wasn't the best at either, I tried super hard and all my teachers knew that, and all had good rapport with me. My parents declined to sign the detention notice and explained to administration how I had zero control over when they left, and especially no control of road/traffic conditions even after us leaving extra early to have a time cushion. I was only late by a couple minutes on the rare time I was even late, but the administration declined to remove the detention assignment. I asked my parents to just let it go and let me serve the stupid detention just to be done with it, or just decline and leave it at that. But they had other plans. The next day, my little professory-looking social worker counselor dad, with the big glasses, briefcase, worn-down notepad, and his prized 20-year-old Mont Blanc pen, signed himself into the school to serve detention the next afternoon, much to the embarrassment and discomfort of the administrators. They had a hard time holding eye contact with him and were visibly uncomfortable. They found an empty room to put him and checked in on him once or twice, even offered to let him leave early, but he declined, so he would serve the full amount of detention they assigned and wrote sentences for an hour until detention was over. To my recollection, after that, there seemed to be a differentiation between excused and unexcused tardies. I don't know for the whole school, but for us anyway. It was never an issue for me after that. But like I said, it was rare anyway to even be a couple minutes late. At the time, I was so embarrassed. But looking back now, it's kind of funny. And I appreciate the point he was making and not letting me get punished for something I didn't do wrong and had no control over.
That's a good dad.
I find it absolutely adorable because Redditors were coming out saying, you know, you've got a really cool dad. You have a really great dad. Please give your dad a hug for me. Our OP said in the comment section that they hadn't appreciated him like they should have when they were a teenager. But it's that hindsight is 2020. The things we know as an adult and the things we understand as teenagers or as kids really is quite different based on our experiences.
All of us can get caught up in that, not knowing how good a parent we had or a good a lesson that we had learned through their actions. Till you get a chance to, take a step back and really digest some of the things we've gone through in our life.
Our OP definitely has a lot of love for her dad, and it reminds me of the love that I have for my father. Of all the adults around me, I have appreciated mother and father figures, but for me, there is no one quite like my father. And even on our channel, I can't help but refer back to all of my experiences. I find it adorable because our OP says, I love him so much. And the more I've gotten older, the more I appreciate him. The last time I visited him, I, 29 female, sneaked into his office and hid a ton of little notes for him to find over the months in his daily calendar. Me and my sister shower him with handmade sewn and knitted things. He loves that stuff, but most of all, just loves time with us. So we do our best to really connect with him and show him how we still need him, even as adults.
Yes, we do. Ugh. These stories. Is this what it's going to be like? Maybe we don't do Feel Good Fridays.
No, it's Feel Good Fridays. That's all that feel good coming out of your eyes.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I imagine you probably have amazing memories with your grandmother.
Oh, yeah. You just wish you had them longer.
I think as fleeting as they are, it makes it more precious. And it's one of the reasons why we share the stories that we do. It keeps them alive in a way, keeps them around, It makes us appreciate every moment that we have with them. I love Feel Good Fridays only because this world is so full of all the bad stuff. It's nice to be reminded that the world has just as much good stuff. We just need to look.
100%. And I think that's why we want to try to keep doing these on Fridays.
Agreed.
Well, as our stories come to a close, don't forget, you see in the world what you carry in your heart.
And if you have enjoyed listening to us read and talk about today's stories, please rate, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more content. We have on Mondays and Wednesdays our Am I the A-Hole stories. On Fridays, we have our Feel Good Fridays. And our Damas After Dark is going to be pushed to Saturdays.
Yep.
So you can have a piece of us almost every day of the week.
If you want. Maybe a little too much, but if you want to see us 4 days a week.
I just hope that with this new little segment, it makes people smile. And honestly, if you have a parent that you're close to or someone that is of a similar role model, don't forget to tell them that you love them.
I second that. Make sure the ones you love know that you love them.
You know, if you're still here, thank you for sticking around this long, but it's the weekend. What are you doing? Get out of here.
Go start your weekend.